everyone, I'm Pratiti. I belong from a small town in West Bengal and I pursued chemical engineering during my undergrad days, after which I worked for 3.5 years in the IT sector before developing an immense love for marketing and also consumer behavior. And I am currently in the second year of IIM Calcutta and I was part of Foundation School, and currently I am looking forward to UFLP in a few months.
Hi guys, I am Neha Doshi. I am a Foundation School alum from the 2023 batch and now an upcoming UFLP in the 2025 batch. I'm a computer engineer by my undergraduate degree, and now currently I'm pursuing my MBA at IIM Calcutta. A long journey from engineering to consulting to now finally finding my right place, marketing, which is here at HUL.
So I'm Karan Tambat. I'm a Foundation School 24 alum. I'm currently pursuing my MBA from SPJMR in marketing. I'm an engineer as well, but I dabbled in tech sales for 2 years and then eventually landed at SP. I also would be joining Einstein Unilever for their ULIP program this summer.
Hi, I'm Trisha. I'm also a Foundation School alum of 2024. I'm also from SPJMR and will be interning with Unilever this summer. Before this, I completed my degree in sociology from a liberal arts school. Somewhere along studying cultures and social groups, I found my way towards marketing. So
Trisha, you mentioned that you have a background in sociology. Right. So I just want to know how Foundation School and that sociology background sort of tied in.
Yeah, I just realized my career is just going to be overpowered by engineers at all times. So yeah, I took up sociology because at its core, I really just wanted to understand how people behave, how cultures are formed, and at the end of my 4th year, we had a small foray into understanding consumer behavior as well, and that's when I realized that marketing is a possible career option for me.
Thank you for sharing that journey actually. But now I'll come on to Karan, and I would love to know how tech sales and how sales in FMCG, how do the two tie up, and where did you find some similarities or where did you find the differences?
So I'm an engineer, but in the first year itself I decided that engineering is something which I would want to pursue long term. So I tried to dabble into various things, be it internships in sales, internships in marketing, and take a minor in business as well. Then I realized that maybe sales is something which I want to do. I was very fortunate to get placed in a tech sales company just out of my undergrad. Worked there for 2 years. I understood that sales, you can't do sales without knowing the product inside out, knowing the market, knowing the competitor, and most importantly, knowing the customer inside out. And that is where I feel FMCG also came into picture as well, because MBA was always on the horizon. That was something which I want to do. Once I came to know about Foundation School, I knew I had to apply. And once I got in, I was very excited. 3 days that we got to experience. We got to learn from industry stalwarts. We got to understand the world of FMCG inside and out. Everything was given to us in such a way that it was bite-sized, but it was so comprehensive that it was a crash course in marketing, crash course in FMCG. And that's where I realized the two worlds collide. And I found my rhythm, I would say. I could see my experience in sales and I could pick up pieces from that and work in the FMCG world. So that's where I felt that this is something which I would want to pursue for the long term.
So when I think of Foundation School, right, I really have absolutely fond memories of having leadership sessions as well as consumer home visits, to name just a few. So I would also love to hear about your experiences, like what was it like during your time?
Yeah. So the first thing is that going in, we knew that Foundation School is going to be an amazing workshop where we learn a lot. But what I did not anticipate was how immersive it can get. So the first day, we had all these sessions with different leaders of different functions. So Ritesh Tiwari himself came down to talk to us. He told us about his life, his career trajectory, and the learnings that he's picked up along the way. And as a BA sociology student who has no work experience, I do not know anything about finance, how it works and all. I just knew it's about money. So I got to understand how that function itself is just so integral to the company. Then we had the CHRO Anuradha Rajdhan also come down and tell us about the people culture at Unilever. What is it about this organization that really stands out, and what is it about Unilever that is just living, breathing entity which has so much purpose within itself. So she also ended the session with asking us to find our own superpower, which stuck with us, with all of us, and we were talking about it for a while after the day was over. So that's something which was absolutely unmissable. So the second day, We got to visit the R&D center. We even got to see how a lipstick is made from scratch. I got to try out a new shade that's coming, which was very exciting. And we got to understand the difference between the general trade experience and the modern trade experience. How is it that HUL tracks the e-commerce users, the different technologies that they've leveraged to understand how a consumer acts when they enter a store, using VR headsets, using artificial intelligence as well. So that was something that we weren't expecting to experience, and we got to learn a lot about what it's like to be on the other side.
So yeah, I mean, the second day was completely different. We shifted gears completely and we moved out of the classroom and got more hands-on learning. So we started the day off with the R&D center, and then we also had a foray into the food segment. So the entire 2 days that are remaining were entirely on tea. So we had a debriefing session about how tea is not just a commodity and how the ads were structured. So we had a great briefing session on that. And all of us across all cohorts, be it finance, be it marketing and HR, we were given cases based on that. We was working on a marketing side of tea. So after the sessions, we went to have consumer house visits, wherein we went to different socioeconomic classes of homes and we interviewed the people and understood their relationship with tea. That is where the juices started flowing in. And that is when I started to understand that people have a great relationship, which I couldn't even comprehend before Foundation School. Once the CHV was done, we all had raw data, but we didn't know how to comprehend it. So then we moved back to the classroom just for a bit to debrief what happened in the CHVs and to give us all the tools required for us to bridge that gap and do the insighting. Post that, we had a wonderful high tea at the Taj Mahal tea house, which was really brilliant. You could, they had saffron tea, like all sort of tea you could name it. They had brilliant food as well. Post which, on the last day, we had a shadow a leader kind of concept, wherein we had to go and interact with, one-on-one interact with one of the senior leaders at HUL. For me, it was Sindhu Govindarajan. She's also an SPJMR alum, and we shadowed her for the entire like 2 hours as well, wherein we understood how she goes about her day. She's a brand director for Surf Excel. So everything that she does on a day-to-day basis, what kind of work she's doing, and what are the problems she faces on a day, what are the challenges, and her entire journey. Those 2 hours were better than any classroom experience I've ever had, because you got to experience life from a different angle altogether. So the entire experience tied up wonderfully together. From all the classes were structured, they gave us some pieces, and then piece by piece we were bridging the gap and understanding tea, and then the presentation happened, and then we got our certificates.
That was really wonderful to hear, and I also remember like enjoying the consumer home visits a lot, like as you mentioned, you know, going out there, talking to actual consumers. And when you talk about something as simple as tea, you do not expect the kind of emotions that you can get out of people. And as Indians, I think, and especially Neha is like a connoisseur of tea, and I think she can give you an even better glimpse probably. But yeah, we absolutely loved that experience, yeah.
I'm going to be interning with HUL this summer. So I want to understand how your internship experience was, how it was structured, and if you can just give me a quick glimpse into a life as a ULIP, because I have a foundation school experience which was a very different experience which you might have had.
No, I'm sure you're very excited for your ULIP, which is like really close now. I'll help you break it down, right? So there's your pre-ULIP, say a 1 month before you're actually going to start. And then there are your first 4 weeks of the internship and last 4 weeks of your internship. And there is a significant amount of change in the sort of work that you are doing day to day throughout the process. So a month before you get your project charters, you know, I was sitting in class one random day and I got the mail. I was so excited. I just downloaded all documents as soon as I could to see what team am I working in, what brand am I working in. The project charter coming in earlier, that gives you an edge to at least understand the brand that you're going to work on. It does not matter if you've used that product earlier, you've not used. I mean, most brands you must have encountered once, but even if you've not used that, you get a chance to sort of prepare your way up before the internship. And then obviously you get all your ecosystem support within HUL. You get your tutor, you get your coach, you get your buddy, and obviously you start reaching out to them. That is why Foundation School also gives you a leverage, because you already know how to navigate your way through It could be that you already have met someone before during your foundation school experience, and then obviously you get your project charter and you start working on it. Now the gears shift when you walk in the first day, right? You meet your managers, they tell you a little more about your project, and then the first 4 weeks, I think all managers really focus on helping us build our consumer understanding. I think that is how we spent the first 4 weeks of our internship as well. You know your project, you know your motive, but it's all managers will push you to push that last bit to get that insight.
So that sounds really exciting, and as someone who will be interning in a couple of weeks, I'm just looking forward to the experiences that I might have as well. Prutiti, since you presented to us during foundation school, we also got to understand what our lives might look like if we were to intern. But I also wanted to know what would it be like in a day of a ULIP intern, and was there something that stood out to you during those 2 months as well?
For me, a day in the life was majorly about, at least in the initial half of my internship, about decoding the project, right? And what that involved is a lot of consumer research. And for that purpose, I used to travel a lot within Bombay. I used to go to different consumers' homes. And those visits were definitely like highlights for me, because each home, each consumer that I spoke to were so unique. And their perspectives on beauty, their perspectives on the products that they utilize day to day was really, really unique. And it also kind of tied in with my own thought processes, and I was able to kind of connect the dots over like the number of visits that I was having. Another thing that I used to do is, like, for example, I had the visits, then I would come back to office. I also tended to have a few meetings with the R&D team, because they were also coming up with certain things for face serums, and that was a different kind of excitement for me, because I am a chemical engineer like from my BTech times, and when I would hear words like redox reaction and stuff, like a part in my brain would go, yes, I know that. And it would really excite me. And so I would usually have a meeting with them. Then I would also like come back and have some catch-ups with my team that I was working with, essentially my tutor, who was a brand manager at Lakme, and the other teammates who were there. So I would often go and get their opinion on the progress that I'm making in my work. Is it in line with what they're expecting? And usually these catch-ups would also prove to be really valuable, because they would help me to streamline my thought process. They would help me with certain information that could prove beneficial in my research. So essentially this was how my day looked, and like in between I would also grab a coffee from Brew. So that was also there in my daily rituals. So yeah, that's how my day looked.
This actually relates to my experience as well, because when Anuradha was speaking about the culture at HUL, this really did stand out, about how everyone wants to pull everyone together and go up. So that is something which really stood out for me as well. Now, what about your experience post the internship? How was the interview process like? Because every company has a different process, and it is very intriguing to me as well. So how did the weeks post the internship pan out for you?
So basically, when you know that, you know, when you've done your project well, and then your tutor lets you know that if you have a PPI or not, and then you obviously start preparing for the interview. So you have about 2-3 weeks to sort of prepare, and that phase is basically just revising what you've done, and, you know, justifying your action plan, justifying the insight that you got, and you just have to work on it. A final interview is taken by a member of the managing committee, the MC over here, right? And these are leaders with, you know, 20 plus years of work experience. So there are multiple things that they want to look for in a candidate. It's not only your project knowledge, it's how well you've done it, plus also, you know, what sort of clarity you have on the bigger picture, the how. They will ask you, you know, why have you done this, but they also want to know the bigger picture. And I know it's nerve-wracking to, you know, to present in front of someone who is such a renowned leader in the stream that we want to work in, but it's a great experience. And obviously the leaders also know what sort of interactions, you know, based on the project charter that they've also gone through, and that is how the interview happens. And then one day you'll be sitting and you get a mail from the team itself, and it will be the happiest day of your MBA life.
Absolutely. And another interesting fact for you guys is, like, both of our interviews was taken by the ED of Home Care Division, that is Tan Srinandan Sundaram, and he's also an alum of our institute actually. And I think the interview experience was really interesting for me, because apart from understanding what we have done during the internship, there were also points where he wanted to understand our opinions on what is happening in the industry right now. Like for example, when talking about face serums or premium skincare, he also was very interested in understanding what is my perspective or what is my opinion on what is happening in the industry and where do I see Lakme serums going in the future. So that was a really interesting perspective because so far like he had been asking questions about my insights and my experiences in the internship, but there is also something beyond that he also asked me. So I think that is something that happened. And another thing that as she mentioned, like it's pretty nerve-wracking when you're like prepping for the interview and stuff, and which is understandable. But there is one advice that my tutor had given me which really stuck with me at that point, is like she told me that you are the one who has done all of this research, so you know your research the best. So you have to stand by it and you have to be confident about it. And I think that really stuck with me and it helped me sail through.
I think you've been put in this position before with Lime, which you won. Congratulations about that. And then you moved on to, I believe, the Unilever Future Leaders League as well. So could you please tell us more about what that was like?
Lime obviously is a bigger case competition than the small cases that you've seen maybe in B school and you've also seen during your foundation school journey, and it is a case competition that will demand an geographic India understanding to be solved. It will not be one localized problem somewhere. It sort of helped us think better, solve problems better, research better. And eventually when you understand the importance of all of it, and then obviously the teamwork aspect comes into play, you balance creativity, feasibility, and then all that excitement is, packed into 1 week, 2 weeks before you make the submission, and then you are standing there on that stage presenting in front of the biggest leaders, jury, a 6-member jury from all aspects of marketing that you can imagine, accomplished leaders. So I think that's one day that I'll always remember very clearly in my head, and then always carry in my HUL journey ahead as well.
Another thing that I would like to add is the fact that Foundation School also served as a direct ticket for us into the semi-finals of Lime, which is a big deal, and we could have an early access to the case as well. So these are advantages that really come in handy, and it helped us to work on the case early on. And another thing that's very important that Foundation School really set for us, it helped us to understand the pulse of Unilever, that how do leaders here think, how do brands think, and that really helped us to formulate a solution that is in line with how the company thinks.
It just, one good thing kept leading to good things further. That is what Foundation School did. Like you were mentioning, it also was followed by UFLL. Foundation led to Lime, and then Lime led to UFLL. So that is how the entire journey panned out for us, and now it's a 2-year journey at this point. Just really excited for that.
So when it comes to UFLL, just to set the context a little, so it is Unilever Future Leaders League, and so this is a global case competition, and it is a massive case competition, I have to say, because we saw teams from so many different countries across the globe. So a lot of different perspectives that you get to see on one specific problem. And the way that we qualified for UFLL is the fact that we won the national finals for Lime. It sounds a little braggy when I'm saying it like this, but that is how it happened.
So you guys faced so many challenges, so many hurdles, but you still managed to bag the runner-up trophy. So what was that experience like?
So I think what really helped us to, clinch that runners-up position is the fact that we based our insight on a very crucial human emotion, and that really hit the chord with all of the judges. Like it really cut through the cultural differences or any kind of other disparities that might be there. It really cut across all of that. So I think that was the little magic potion we had, and that helped the judges relate to the solution we were presenting. As a matter of fact, all of the other teams were also very enthusiastic about the solution we had, so that was also very nice of them to really encourage and support us. So yeah, that was what worked for us.
Yeah. Again, another learning to just take away is that emotion behind marketing is a global phenomena, right? I mean, that there's no second questioning that. And I think that is what helped us sort of navigate our way to the trophy as well. That's all.
So let's do a rapid fire round, juniors versus seniors. Favorite spot in the HUL office?
Has to be Adda, the tea at Adda.
Has to be brew, yeah.
And what's the cheat code to crack ULIP?
Be authentic.
Clarity of thought.
If you could go back in time, what would you change about your presentation for Lime?
Better financial estimates, yeah.
First year in one word, second year in one word.
sleep deprived and sleep induced.
Financially secure and financially insecure. Very much.
And what did you do with your prize money?
We traveled in
I
London.
paid the fees.
Yeah.
Our turn now. When you join as a ULIP, what brand do you want to work on?
Brew.
Any but Moti.
Interesting. All right. So during your first year of MBA, what's the longest number of hours that you have been awake at a stretch?
I think 28.
23.
Ooh, you're really good at managing time. Okay. What are some do's and don'ts for the FS application?
For do's, I'd say be authentic and align your story with whatever you're filling in the form.
Don't be underconfident and write the form on your own.
Good advice. All right. So what are your words of advice on landing your internship via Foundation School?
I'd say put the customer at the heart of everything. If you're solving for a problem, put the customer at the heart of everything and put yourself in the shoes of the customer.
Be a sponge, be as curious as possible, absorb everything you can. And the final one, Foundation School or Foundation School?
Foundation.
Foundation.